Hey everyone, Jason here. I picked up the Tron Legacy set recently and it's a pretty cool little set. It's a bit pricey for what you get, but there is no denying it is a visually stunning display piece. But I was a little disappointed with the basic nature of the stand that came with it. For me, it just doesn't evoke any sense of motion, which I think is a real shame as that scene from the movie is pretty full of action. So I decided to see if I could breathe a little bit more life into this model, and this is what I came up with. I actually built two identical stands, and they each have a platform holding the light cycle that can move from side to side. And as they do so, the light cycle tilts, which I think gives a pretty cool sense of them racing through the grid. I even added a little control arm at the back so that you can get a little bit of more of a hands-off kind of play experience. I designed them to be independent so that you can pose them in different ways. But if you'd like to connect them together, it's easy to do. You can just remove some of the tiles along the edges of the bases and then use them to connect them together. I also had to raise the light cycles off the ground to leave space for the mechanism, which I will explain in a minute. And I think that actually adds a little bit more substance to the display. And it also kind of captures the multi-level nature of the arena that they are racing in the movie. If you want to build these yourself, you can find instructions over at jkbrickworks.com. So how does the mechanism actually work? We're going to start with the light cycle mount, and let's just pretend that this orange plate with two bricks on it is a light cycle. We're going to mount this on top of an axle, like so, which runs through a 2x2 plate with holes in it. And at the end of that axle, we're going to add a Technic connector, which extends below so that we can use that as a control arm to control the tilt of the cycle. Now we're going to connect that plate to a shuttle, which has a pin underneath, which we can use to control the position of the cycle. So now we have two connection points underneath the cycle, which we can use to control the position and its tilt. So how do we actually control those? If we look at the base, we have an axle running through these Technic bricks mounted on a turntable. So that as we rotate it from side to side, this black pin and blue pin transcribe two arcs. And since the blue pin is further away from the rotation point, it will transcribe a wider arc, which I've indicated with these tiles. The black pin travels about 4 studs, and the blue pin travels about 6 studs. Now we'll put that shuttle where the black pin was, and we'll constrain it using these tiles, so that as I rotate that axle, it slides from side to side. And now in theory, we want to connect that blue pin to the connector that controls the tilt of the cycle. But due to the mechanical constraints in the system, we actually need a lot more degrees of freedom in that connection point. So I'm going to replace this axle with the blue pin with this universal joint assembly. And now we can connect that tilt control arm there. And we can reconnect the light cycle onto the top of the shuttle. And there we go. Because the tilt control point gets pushed out further than the shuttle position point, it causes the light cycle to tilt as it moves from side to side. And I think the result is pretty cool. It's a pretty compact mechanism that does a fair bit. And that is about all there is to it. As always, thanks for watching, keep on building, and I will see you next time.